Good evening, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought that I would talk about some NFL football. And of course, the reason why I thought that I would talk about it around this time is because, of course, the playoffs are going to pop up very, very soon. And I'm sure a lot of you, including myself, are very excited for the playoffs, just like we are every year for those of us that watch the National Football League. But I'm very excited for this year for a specific reason. And, it almost seems like I say this every single year, but especially within the past couple of years, of course, because the New England Patriots, they were so dominant for a very, very long time within the AFC. But, now that Tom Brady, now that he's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it has seemed anyway like it has somewhat been up for grabs. And of course, the Kansas City Chiefs, they seem like they kind of took over the Patriots spot as the number one overall threat in the AFC. And they still potentially could be, even though they did lose that last game to the Cincinnati Bengals. But they do look like still a very decently talented team. Patrick Mahomes does look a little bit bothered, and he doesn't look like he has the same amount of confidence as he did last year, ever since that Super Bowl loss. But I do think that the Kansas City Chiefs are still a very viable threat within the AFC. But the AFC, in my opinion, that's going to be a very competitive conference. You have a lot of teams there. Basically, any of the teams there I could easily see making the Super Bowl. And I'm very serious. I think that any of the teams within the AFC conference, I think that any of those teams could truly make the Super Bowl. I could see the Baltimore Ravens making a run. I could see the Cincinnati Bengals making a run. I could see the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs. I could see the New England Patriots. I could see any one of those teams making a run. The Tennessee Titans. Any one of those teams, if they play their cards right or if they get a lucky enough run, in my opinion, all in all, if they have the right momentum, they could possibly make a Super Bowl run. In my opinion, who would be my front runners right now? In my opinion, it would either be probably the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs. More than likely the Kansas City Chiefs. But we'll have to see overall what happens there. It'll be very particularly interesting. But it's one of those two teams for me, probably out of the AFC. For the NFC, there is talented teams there. But there's only two teams, in my opinion, that really are a viable threat for possibly capturing another Super Bowl. Or capturing a Super Bowl. And that would either be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady, of course, and, that very decently talented team. And, of course, the very talented Green Bay Packers with Mr. Aaron Rodgers. In my opinion, this should be the year, at least where Aaron Rodgers finally somewhat gets the monkey off his back and is able to make that second Super Bowl appearance. Now, of course, Aaron Rodgers, all the way back, I think it was in the 2009, I think that was the Drew Brees year with the New Orleans Saints. I think in the 2010-2011 year, it was when the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers, they were able to win a Super Bowl, and that was Aaron Rodgers' first and only Super Bowl. The big question about Aaron Rodgers is because I do believe that he has basically secured his fourth NFL MVP this season. I think that he does deserve it. Not only are his stats pretty phenomenal, but when it comes down to it, he has led the Green Bay Packers, I believe, to the best record, not only within the NFC, both in the whole entire NFL. So Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, hands down does deserve the NFL MVP. But the big question about Mr. Aaron Rodgers is, can he not only win the Super Bowl this year, but can he even make the Super Bowl? Because we all know that Aaron Rodgers, even for how talented that he has had a very, very big problem with trying to make that second Super Bowl appearance. Just like a Russell Wilson, just like a Drew Brees, just over like a Dan Marino, Steve Young, some of the all-time great, quarterbacks before him, or, that may be somewhat around during his time, but maybe they didn't end up winning two. Maybe they just only escaped with one Super Bowl appearance. The big question is, will Aaron Rodgers separate himself from those guys and maybe become in my opinion, Roger Staubach, Johnny Unitas, John Elway type of level? Or will he stay within that Drew Brees and Dan Marino, Steve Young, and there might be, and Brett Favre level. In my opinion, all those quarterbacks, they're on a very, very similar level. So the big question about Mr. Aaron Rodgers is this. Is he going to separate himself at least definitively from that class of quarterbacks? And is he going to possibly jump into my top 5 quarterbacks of all time and win his second Super Bowl this year? Or is he going to stay at the lower end of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time? This season is in my opinion, it is a big referendum of who Mr. Aaron Rodgers is going to be as an NFL quarterback and how all-time great he truly is going to be. I don't think that there's any doubt that Aaron Rodgers is an all-time great quarterback and is a top 10 quarterback of all time when I just take a look at his accomplishments and what he can do on the football field and his stats overall in his accomplishments. But will he be on a higher level? We'll have to see. Anyways, Skip and Shannon, they're going to talk about it. Let's tune in.
favorite to win his 4th MVP award. So, Shannon, do you think Rodgers wrapped up the MVP last night?
He wrapped it up 3 weeks ago when Tom Brady had that fiasco game on Sunday night, Skip, and Aaron Rodgers played the way he played. I think it might have been the next night, or he played that same day. I said it was over.
I agree. I think that Tom Brady was in the conversation, but as soon as he got, well, I don't want to say blown out, but as soon as the Saints completely shut them down and basically let them, score 0, that's when the conversation was over. And Kyler Murray, I think that he was my leading candidate throughout the first half of the NFL season, or maybe even the first 75% of the NFL season, but he just blew away too many games. It just is what it is, so you cannot be the NFL MVP. Patrick Mahomes, I don't really know if he was ever in the conversation, even though maybe he somewhat snuck into the top 5 a little bit later on. Josh Allen had a chance at the beginning of the season, but he choked away many games as well. The MVP, it has to be Aaron Rodgers.
Was nip and tuck right down the stretch, and I told you in week 4, week 5, I said, don't count Rodgers out because he's a guy, and that was an aberration the first game, Skip, playing in Jacksonville, playing the Saints, and him turning the ball over twice. I said, but that's his MO, isn't that he doesn't turn the ball over. Skip, this is 4 years. Aaron Rodgers has thrown 136 touchdowns with 15 interceptions. That's what he's done in a 4-year span. He's very, very cautious with the football while taking a lot of risk by throwing the ball down the field.
Excellent decision maker. And that's what the best of quarterbacks, that's what the greatest of quarterbacks do. But the problem is with Aaron Rodgers is that his standards, especially in NFC Championship games, when there's really a great amount of pressure on him. Now, of course, there's only so much that we can say about a person that has already won 1 Super Bowl. It's not like he's some Matthew Stafford or Kirk Cousins, someone that, chokes it away almost every single time. And that's why I don't have a great amount of faith in the Vikings or especially the LA Rams. So many people thought that the LA Rams are going to be Super Bowl contenders. The LA Rams, to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure what seed they are. I'd have to take a look. But let's say they're in the first round. They'd be lucky to make it out of the first round. I don't trust Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is talented. He does not have overall the intangibles to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He just doesn't. It is what it is. He's never going to lead a team to a Super Bowl. Does not have it within him. I would bet money on it. It just is what it is. I don't see it within him. But when it comes down to, like I said, Aaron Rodgers, the big referendum on him this season is going to be, can you win that NFC Championship? Can you beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because like I said, none of these other NFC teams are really that big of a threat. The Dallas Cowboys, very talented team. Dak Prescott is not going to lead them anywhere. Just is what it is. LA Rams, extremely talented team. Matthew Stafford is not going to lead you anywhere. I mean, if they were able to, maybe face off with the Green Bay Packers, could they upset them? It's possible. But I doubt it. Because Matthew Stafford, he just makes way too many mistakes. When the pressure is on him, he doesn't do good. And the Green Bay Packers, when it comes down to it, they actually have a top 10 defense this year. So like I said, Aaron Rodgers is going to have no excuses this year. He has to win the Super Bowl this year.
But for me, Skip, you're not going to be able to argue 35 touchdowns with 4 interceptions. The number 1 seed, his completion percentage is better than Tom Brady. His yards per attempt is better than Tom Brady. He has 4 turnovers. Tom Brady has 14, and he's the number 1 seed. Yes, Tom has the numbers. Tom is thrown 169 more passes, but only has 4 more touchdowns. He's 4.
Shannon, I agree with you, but where was the same energy overall when you were bitching and moaning that your boy LeBron James got robbed against James Harden? Like, this is the same shit I say. Like, LeBron James fans, they always bitch, moan, and complain about how LeBron James got robbed against Derrick Rose or James Harden. No, he didn't. Because both of them overall had phenomenal stats. But Derrick Rose led the Chicago Bulls overall to the number 1 seed. With a less talented team, by the way. Because remember, LeBron James was on that super team. And then all in all, James Harden, he not only overall was the number 1 seed in the West, he overall had the best overall record within the whole entire NBA. And LeBron James and James Harden's stats were similar. So you can't bitch and moan and complain all in all that someone is winning the NFL MVP when someone has the advantage in certain statistics, but another one clearly has the better record. Because MVP is most valuable player. It's not always about who just has the most impressive stats because of the way that you play. It just is what it is. Now am I saying that, Tom Brady all in all, or, certain other people that, they just have impressive stats because they're system, players? No. But, even though some people would allege that. But listen, bottom line is this. Everyone can somewhat be benefited from a system. But at the end of the day, like I said, an MVP winner, in my opinion, you have to have the great stats, and on top of that, you have to have the record. And Aaron Rodgers has both. So he's the one that deserves to be the NFL MVP.
In 12, Rodgers is 35-4. Now, I believe, Skip, they're going to try to give Brady an opportunity to break Peyton's record. He needs 488 passing yards. I think they're going to try to get him. I think he's going to break Matthew Stafford, most pass attempts in the season. I think he's at 686, 682, something like that.
Yep.
He needs like 46, 47 attempts to break that. He just had 50 yesterday.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Yep.
But I think Aaron Rodgers, I know for a fact Aaron Rodgers is going to be the MVP, and I believe Cooper Kupp will be Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
I hear everything you just said, and I believe that Aaron Rodgers will win the MVP.
I lost 53 pounds. I would say that it far exceeded my expectations.
Week 10, down.
But I also believe that Tom Brady deserves the MVP.
No, Skip. He don't deserve the MVP. And listen, some people hate Skip, some people like him. I don't necessarily mind Skip. And let me give Skip credit, usually, like I said, on the Aaron Rodgers conversations, because Skip actually says a lot of truth on Aaron Rodgers overall that almost no one else in the NFL media or anyone in the media, period, loves to say on Aaron Rodgers. There's like I said, Aaron Rodgers and LeBron James, two of the most protected players overall in all the sports, two of the most protected athletes in all sports. Skip Bayless is one of the few overall that will at least say certain critical things about them. And in my opinion, he's at least somewhat within the lane overall, within the truth about them. Don't get me wrong. Skip Bayless can sometimes have ass backwards, plots or overall points. But sometimes overall, he will tell the truth. But we'll see. But anyway. But no, Tom Brady cannot deserve the NFL MVP. I understand all in all that I believe he's probably nearing 45 years old this year, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, he had the opportunity to win the NFL MVP. He blew it against the Saints. It is what it is.
He is accomplished, people are overlooking, because I'm going to remind everybody, he did not have Antonio Brown, his favorite target, for 9 games. He did not have his second favorite target, Gronkowski, for 5 games. Last year, one of his favorite targets, his most lethal secret weapon target, was little Scotty Miller. He's missed 8 games and fallen completely out of the rotation. So he's doing more with less than you think. And yet, look at what he has done.
You can someone argue that, but once again, I've never been a person that argues, well, just because they were without a weapon and yada, 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 they're the MVP. I've just never been a person like that. Whether a team is more talented or not, and the Packers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in terms of talent, they're on a similar level right now. Whatever you want to argue, but when it comes down at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers, once again, in my opinion, he deserves the MVP.
Still leads the league completions, yards passing per game at 312. Aaron is 9th in yards passing per game. So first to 9th in yards passing per game.
But you see the passes, Skip. I mean, what did Rodgers throw? Rodgers was 29 of 38. We saw the tight end drop a touchdown in the end zone. Even Devontae they might consider that a drop. Skip, he's just so accurate. He's just so, the throw, Skip, you see the throws that he's making to Devontae, the throws that he's making to Lazard.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up, because Devontae obviously is graded by Pro Football Focus, by far and away the number 1 receiver in pro football. So Aaron benefits.
I do agree. Devontae Adams, he is the number 1 receiver in all of football. To be quite honest with you, I don't see another receiver that's even that close to him right now. Devontae Adams, well, actually, let me not say that. Cooper Kupp, he's having a very good season. I don't know if Cooper Kupp is even on the same level as Devontae Adams. I don't know if any of these receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know if any of them are on the same level as Devontae Adams. The way that he can run routes, Devontae Adams is very, very talented.
Because you want to talk about wavelength? He can be triple covered. Aaron just says, just throw it anyway.
Yeah.
And this guy snatches it.
Yeah.
And he runs with it. And, by the way, in overall receiving core, Green Bay is ranked 5th in overall receiving core. Tampa Bay is 16th in receiver core. And Mike Evans is now the highest-rated receiver in Pro Football Focus grading at 49th. So you got number 1 to number 49. That's what Brady's had to battle against. And then you look at running game. Man, those 2 running backs are now graded by Pro Football Focus 5th and 8th. 5th and 8th. That also adds up to the number 3 rushing attack in pro football. Number 3.
Yeah.
So you don't think
last night.
you don't think Aaron is benefiting from his 2 running backs and the best receiver and a really good core that's top 5?
Yes, Skip, but that's why his numbers, that's why he's 9th in passing. Because he can rely on a running game, and he doesn't throw the ball 45, 50 times a ball game like Tom Brady has done a lot of.
I would agree with that. You have to pay attention to, Shannon is so, he all of a sudden pulls his hat out of his ass whenever he wants to argue for his boy Aaron Rodgers, LeBron James. But whenever LeBron James has these stats, he never brings up context like that. I like the arguments that Shannon is bringing up, but it's like, you don't usually ever bring up these arguments overall when you need to, at least when it comes to a player overall that you usually love to, fluff and muff about, but it is what it is. Anyway.
This year. So his numbers are going to be down. But when you look at it, you look at his completion percentage, you look at his yards per attempt, look at his touchdown to interception ratio.
Let me also say this, a lot of people would argue that when Cam Newton won the MVP all the way back in 2015, now my team is the Carolina Panthers, but like I said, I'm not a person that usually is biased, or I'm not a person that, argues this in front of a person because I'm this fanboy or anything. Like a lot of people would argue, for example, that Cam Newton does not deserve the NFL MVP back then. But I would have to disagree because not only were his stats pretty phenomenal, at least for his standards, because he had 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, and that wasn't even counting the rushing TDs. He had 10 plus extra, rushing TDs. So in total, he had, I believe, about 45 TDs, 10 interceptions. That was a very great season for him. And on top of that, he led them to an all-time great record of 15-1. Now, of course, they ended up blowing it in the Super Bowl, but at the end of the day, like I said, the MVP, it's a regular season award.
It's hard to argue that. And he's the number 1 seed. Since the first game, Skip, he's gone 13-1, 35 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Okay.
So my point being is this: just because someone all in all does not lead the league in touchdowns or all in all, passing yards, that doesn't mean necessarily that they still do not deserve the MVP. At the end of the day, if their stats are at least on a good level, let me say this, like whether it be the NBA or whether it be the NFL, if they deserve to make the Pro Bowl or if they deserve to make the All-Star game, and basically they have the better record, that's the person, in my opinion, who's the MVP. So it is what it is.
What he did up Thursday night?
Yep.
Without his top 3 receivers, without 2 top offensive linemen and top 3 defensive players, he won at Kyler. He did that.
But Kyler threw a ball that should have been caught by A.J. Green that would have won the game.
All we can do is go by the end result, Skip. That's what you said, the end result.
All right.
I do agree. Skip is hating a little bit on Aaron Rodgers here. He don't like Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, I appreciate some of his takes here and there because sometimes he can tell the truth on Aaron Rodgers, but he does not like Aaron Rodgers. And I get it to a certain degree because it is annoying constantly hearing Aaron Rodgers fanboys say that, he's debatably the greatest quarterback of all time, blah, 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 when he's not. Aaron Rodgers is an all-time great quarterback, but he can't be in that conversation.
Right. So Pro Football Focus also in just overall grades. Right now, Brady is graded second to guess who? Joe Burrow. And we're going to talk about him a little later in the show. He outdueled Mahomes.
Yes.
Joe Burrow has had a very interesting season. Very good quarterback, actually. I have a friend, the same Green Bay Packers friend that I always talk about. We always talk about football and other sports. Very good friend of mine when it comes down to it. I remember first season, he's actually one of these guys, usually he always sees a rookie quarterback and he thinks that guy ain't going to be shit, but you do have to give quarterbacks time. It's understandable, but you can't necessarily judge them off their first season. But Joe Burrow's, I think his first season he did decent. This season he's been very, very good. Led the Cincinnati Bengals to a very decent record. I hope for the Cincinnati Bengals. Because I do root for them a little bit. It's not like they're one of my favorite teams, I guess, but, I do hope that team somewhat is successful. They could make a Super Bowl run, but I think personally that they're probably a little bit too inexperienced, but I would like to see them at least make it past the first round. But if they got eliminated in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised. Of course, I don't know what seed they are. I think they are their division leader in the AFC North, so I don't know. I'd have to look at it, but anyway.
So Burrow is ranked number 1, graded number 1.
And, a lot of people, of course, are getting after Trevor Lawrence. This is my opinion about Trevor Lawrence. In my opinion, Trevor Lawrence, if I had to guess, he's probably not going to end up as that great of a quarterback, but I have to give him a little bit more time. He has had a pretty horrific season, but I'll at least give him the season 3. Like I said, I give quarterbacks overall, till season 3, because even if I think that they're not going to end up, doing shit, you never know. Because there's certain quarterbacks, all in all, that, they don't do very well in their first season, and later on they become first ballot Hall of Famers. So we'll see what happens. Trevor Lawrence, he doesn't look extremely talented or intelligent to me when it comes to the football position, but you never know. We'll see.
Brady's 2, Justin Herbert is 3, and Aaron Rodgers is way down at 4 because he's 3 full points behind Tom Brady.
But anybody that's watched the games, anybody that think, and I'm not saying, look, I think all these guys are having unbelievable seasons. Joe Burrow has an outside chance at 5,000 yards this year. There's a chance he might get it. He needs 389 yards, and considering he's almost thrown for 5,000 yards, his last 2 ball games, I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Burrow gets 5,000 this season.
Very good quarterback. Once again, I'm actually going to be rooting a little bit for the Bengals. Like I said, I'm not a person that likes to show bias, but I do root for certain people here and there, maybe certain teams. I do hope at least that they make it past the first round, because it would be nice to see some potential with the Cincinnati Bengals, but that's going to be a very hard task. You have a lot of very talented teams going in there. You have the Baltimore Ravens, the LA Chargers. That AFC conference, man, that's no joke. It is no goddamn joke. Like I said, the NFC, it's talented, but there's only really 2 teams, in my opinion, that are really competitive for a Super Bowl. LA, who knows? Maybe they might shock some people if they can, get a little bit of momentum, but I doubt it. I just don't trust Matthew Stafford. But the AFC, I mean, you're talking about, the Chargers, the Bengals, the Rams, or excuse me, not the Rams, the Ravens, I don't know if the Browns or Steelers are in there. Maybe they are. The Chiefs, the Titans. I mean, damn, that conference is stacked.
But to say somebody has played the quarterback...
The Bills, of course, I forgot about too. Oh, and the Patriots. So I'm guessing that the Steelers and the Browns actually are not in there. So anyway.
Position this season. Better than Aaron Rodgers has played it. I just don't believe it.
What's my favorite stat? It is QBR. And right now, Aaron is clinging to a very tiny lead in QBR over Tom Brady. Tiny.
Skip, we got to get rid of QBR. You know why we got to get rid of it? Yeah. Because yesterday they said Tom Brady's QBR was higher than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow threw for more yards, more touchdowns.
Okay, of all the QBRs of the whole year, I will give you this because they said that Patrick Mahomes' QBR...
I'm not exactly sure overall how they rank complete QBR. I mean, they said that that's combined all the stats. But sometimes, like I said, the statistics sometimes can be a little bit misleading. So, I don't know. I would have to take a look at that.
Was significantly better than Joe Burrow. But Burrow threw 4 touchdowns with no interceptions.
But what I will say is this. Just because someone leads in QBR or let's say PER, like when you talk about overall like basketball, you just can't take a look at it. Like I said, you have to really know the context within these stats. Why do they look like that? Well, what's the kind of way that they play? So that's why we have to, count not only the stats, but also the team record.
You docked him. He got sacked 4 times.
Yeah.
So they knocked off points, but not that. It shouldn't be
you
like
should
that.
start from 100. Knock off points from 100. Ain't no way somebody should have had a better. It's hard for me to see someone having a better QBR when he didn't turn the ball over, and he has 7 incompletions, 8 incompletions.
Yeah, but he and Mahomes had 9.
Yeah,
they both had 9. Okay,
with 446.
Okay, I don't get it. I'm with you. But back to this. If we look at QBR, Brady had a better one yesterday than Aaron did. So he crept up on him. It's very close, just percentage points behind him. And I don't doubt that after the Carolina game, I'm not sure Aaron's even going to play against Detroit. He said last night, I'd be happy to play. I doubt they'll play him, but I don't know that for a fact.
Well, if he don't play, I don't see how Brady overtakes him. I mean, he's going to have a 90-plus QBR to
I don't know,
move
it's just percentage points. It's 67.7 to 66.9, so it's 8%,
yeah,
8/10 of
but 8%,
points.
Skip, that's
this
a lot.
Late,
yeah, this late in the
games, he would have to have a 90-something.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, against Carolina, I think he's got a shot, especially...
He certainly does, and my team is the Carolina Panthers. That team ain't doing shit. So it is what it is. Let me say this about Carolina. I think that they're a very young, talented group. The defense looks decently talented when it comes down to it. I think actually that they have, a possibility to be one of the top defense. But that offense is a complete mess. Cam Newton is not going to lead them anywhere. He's completely done. And he never really was a Super Bowl winning quarterback ever to begin with. Sam Darnold, he's not going to lead them anywhere. What they need to do is that they need to tank. And all in all, in my opinion, they need to draft the QB. That's what they need to do. because the free agency didn't work. All in all, they gotta bite the bullet, draft a new QB.
He's going for Peyton's
record.
record. Okay, what about the common?
And some people, of course, who are fans of the Carolina Panthers or people who watch the Carolina Panthers just like me, they may say, well, it's not completely the quarterback's fault. It's the offensive line and blah, 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 blah. Listen, all that's understandable. No one is saying that Carolina's, offensive line is elite, because, of course, they haven't been for the past several years. But listen, at the end of the day, the Carolina Panthers, with the amount of talent that they should have had, if they would have had a consistent overall and a quarterback worth their salt, they should have at least been able to win 10 to 11 games this year, no question. They should have been able to beat the Eagles. They should have, losing to the Cowboys wasn't that bad, but come on, losing to Washington and losing overall to Miami and losing to the Eagles, that should have not happened. Should have not happened.
Game, they each had a common stinker against the same team, New Orleans. Aaron's, was a long time ago, so out of sight, out of mind, you forget.
Yes.
But in Aaron's stinker against New Orleans in the opener, what happened? He threw 2 interceptions, had a QBR of 15. Brady threw 1 interception. It was a bad one, but he threw 1, and his QBR was 20. So he actually had a little better bad game or worst game than Aaron did.
Right.
So I would even give him a slight edge there.
What about win-loss record?
Okay.
Who gets the slight edge there?
Okay, well, it's just a slight edge, right?
No, we don't know what they the Packers.
Shannon, I agree with you, but once again, where's the same energy when it comes to LeBron James and the NBA? This is the same dude that always does the bitch, moan, and complain about how LeBron James fans, you talk to them, he deserves 10 MVPs. Even though he's won only 4 NBA championships. But anyway.
Just saying, okay, but Brady just keeps on keeping on, doesn't he?
And that's what Rodgers did. Keep on keeping on.
All right, but Rodgers has a lot more help than Brady does. You've told me all year that the Tampa defense is...
I don't know about that. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers has, a whole lot more help than Tom Brady. I would say that their teams are on a very similar level, So it is what it is. Those are like I said, those are both hands down the most talented teams. But what I will say is this, like I said, Aaron Rodgers, he has the defense. Because Aaron Rodgers fans, they always say that. They said, oh, well, if Aaron Rodgers has an elite defense, he wins the Super Bowl every year. Well, this is his year to prove it. Last year, in my opinion, he had a top 15 defense. This year, he has a top 10. There's no excuse for him not to win the Super Bowl this year.
It's been mediocre at best.
We saw Green Bay give up like 200-plus yards rushing to the Ravens. They gave up another. The Cleveland gave up 200-plus to the Browns.
Okay.
So... Look, last night, I can't take anything. I think the Packers have an okay defense. I think their run defense is suspect. But of the teams in the NFL...
I think that they have a very good defense. That's not me saying that they have an on par, defense every single game, but they have a very solid defense. So this is what I'm saying. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, they have to take advantage of this now. They even have more of a wide open window this year than what they did last year because Tampa Bay looks vulnerable.
See, Skip, who can run the ball?
Okay.
Well, when you look at the Rams, might be the best running team with Sonny Michel.
Akers might come back.
LA Rams ain't doing shit. They're not doing anything. I don't care how talented of a team you have. When you have a quarterback like Matthew Stafford who never comes up big in big game situations, he is not going to lead you anywhere. I see, ironically, my favorite team actually in basketball is the Chicago Bulls. I like what they're doing right now. But DeMar DeRozan is debatably the most talented team on the squad. It's either him or Zach LaVine. I can't trust DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is a very talented player, but he's not going to lead you anywhere. Like I said, certain people, certain tigers, they just can't change their stripes. Certain leopard, certain leopards, they just can't change their spots. It just is what it is. Certain people, they can, toughen up mentally and, come up bigger in those big games. At least in football, some people can't. And I don't think that Matthew Stafford is one of those guys. To be honest with you, I don't remember one game in Matthew Stafford's career where he's ever come back against a winning team, like a playoff legitimate team. And, he came back and won the game and was able to come up big. Now, I don't think it's ever happened. He just recently did one against the Baltimore Ravens, but that was without Lamar Jackson.
He might come back. If James Conner's come back from Arizona, can they run it? But I look at Dallas, I look at the other teams that Skip could possibly make the playoffs. Who can really run the football to really challenge Green Bay? I don't know if you can, throw it.
None of those teams are going to challenge Green Bay. Not LA, not Dallas, not Arizona. Maybe Arizona if Green Bay catches them early, maybe. But the big question is about Arizona is that are they even going to make it out of the first round? Like I said, this is Kyler Murray's first year in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. Dallas, I don't trust them worth a damn. When it comes down to it, Dak Prescott, he ain't leading you anywhere past the second round. I just don't see it. The LA Rams, they're not doing anything. Not with Matthew Stafford as their quarterback. I'm trying to think of some of the other teams. San Francisco, I believe that they might be in there, but they're not really going to do anything. Now with Jimmy Garoppolo, like I said, there's only one team that they have to worry about. That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's no other. Oh, the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe, are in there as well. They could be a potential threat, but I don't see it.
Football is the best way to beat them. I think running the football, controlling the clock, keep Aaron on the sideline.
Is Fournette going to be back? I don't know.
You might think investing for the future sounds complicated, but when you subscribe to The Motley Fool,
because they're trying everybody. They're trying Le'Veon Bell, which drives me crazy. Come to this.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. You're going to have to beat Rodgers. You're going to have to turn him over, and you're going to have to put pressure on him.
Okay.
Can you put pressure on him minus JPP, minus Shaq Barrett?
Okay. So, speaking of no Shaq Barrett, remember, the Bucs did not have Shaq. They didn't have JPP yesterday. They did not have Levante David. And there was a problem with the plane that was supposed to bring Murphy Bunting and Jamel Dean up because they just got off the COVID list, and the pilot got COVID, so they were late to the...
I didn't even know actually that many injuries had happened with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they don't have the right defense overall against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs, they're probably not going to win that game. In my opinion, my favorites to make it out of the NFC this year, it's going to be Green Bay.
Game. So they didn't even get into the game until the second quarter. So my point is, without that, with the AB meltdown, Brady came from 24 to 10 down.
The Jazz, though.
Okay, but come on, 24 to 10 down.
If he had done that against
and
Buffalo,
93 yards with no timeouts left. That was sensational.
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest game-winning last-second drives that he's ever pulled off before. I
would have given him a B plus because to do what he did, 93 yards. But I mean, you expect that from Tom. I mean, Skip, there's certain guys that you just expect that from, and so you're not in awe. If Aaron Rodgers does that, if Patrick Mahomes does that, are we really in awe? Tom Brady's been doing this for 22 years. So,
I agree.
So I'm not surprised that he did it. But to everything that's going on around him, he knows what he might not have known that AB is not going to be a part of the team until after the game. But he know what was being said on the sideline. I don't know if they were. Well, they couldn't have been on the field because Mike Evans was on the sideline with him.
Yeah.
So, but Tom saw it.
The defense was on.
Right.
Yeah,
Tom saw what was going on.
He knew what was going
on. The crowd is buzzing. I can assure you, Skip. Guess what? On the jumbotron, they got AB with no shirt on, throwing stuff to the ground in the stand and running out the field. So he saw that.
Oh, man, that dude Antonio Brown, man. Me and a friend were having a conversation, and he said he personally thinks that Antonio Brown has CTE. Maybe he does. I don't know, because, of course, a lot of these football players, they take a lot of hits. This is my personal about Antonio Brown, because I've actually been hearing undercover shit about Antonio Brown for years. We all know that one dude who was a former safety or cornerback in the league, I believe, Mr. Ryan Clark, who now is a NFL analyst or an analyst on ESPN. He's been saying shit about Antonio Brown for years because, of course, he used to play with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This dude, Antonio Brown, in my opinion, it's very clear. This dude has been a narcissist for a very, very, very long time.
And to calm his mind.
Yep.
No matter what's going on around me, it doesn't even matter. I'm here. Let's get the job done.
Okay, I just thought it was a very special end of the game. I don't care if it's the Jets or the Mets. I don't care who it is. He did that, throwing to Cyril Grayson.
I mean, back-to-back 40-touchdown season. Very few guys can say they've gone back-to-back 40. I mean, Peyton, and I think Aaron Rodgers, the only guys that have multiple 40 pass touchdown season.
I would still give him the edge in MVP, but he will not win it.
I just don't see how, considering the season that Rodgers.
I agree. I think Aaron Rodgers, number 12. Of course, Brady's number 12, I believe, as well. But number 12 for the Green Bay Packers, he deserves the MVP.
Just has strung together again.
Even though what?
He said again. Anyway, but that's really about it for this conversation. But it'll be very, very interesting to see what the Green Bay Packers do. I'm not really sure what type of injuries the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have, but hopefully for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all the players that need to return will return. And hopefully for the Green Bay Packers, they stay healthy as well. You know, it would be nice to see some competitiveness and maybe a little bit of a surprise in the NFC, or at least maybe see the Rams or, you know, the Dallas Cowboys be competitive, but I just don't see it. But we'll see what happens. Anyways, that's really about it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.